Can you introduce yourself with your pronouns and what you want the audience to know about you first?
Of course. Thank you for having me. Um, Hello. My name is Vince. I go by he, him, and I'm a 3D artist working at VRChat. I'm also a work creator. For the past 6 years or now on VRChat, creating various experience from cozy worlds to adventure to just about anything.
Can you tell me about your introduction to and your earliest memory of social VR?
Yeah. Um, so I've been Social app is nothing new to me. Especially I have a long history of playing like MMORPG, World of Warcraft, RuneScape, the classic RuneScape. Like I spent many years like playing all kind of social games. Even Second Life, I spent probably 3 years on that. But when VRChat came around, it was like a new big thing. I was already very interested in VR at the time, but I couldn't afford it. So I would just watch video about VR in general, what wasn't social VR, in particular, just VR. But then that kind of like YouTube recommendation then pushed me into like this VR chat thing. I would start looking at it. I think around 2017, probably 2017. So that was my earliest memory of like social VR in general. But actually no. So I had the Gear VR around the time before I discovered VR chat, and they had those really early like social. I forgot the name, but they were on the Gear VR. They were awesome. They also like a type of social VR. I don't know where they are now. I guess they didn't take off. But on the YouTube side of things, I were introduced to VR chat thanks to a YouTuber called Jamski. And he were making all this video about like VHS in a nutshell. You think those like the time where like VHS start exploding in like popularity with all the underground and knuckles and everything. So yeah, that's probably was my introduction to it. And I thought, wow, this is kind of fun looking, even though it's kind of chaotic. And I don't have a VR headset yet, but the fact that anybody, even with a desktop, can get into that and enjoy. So even though they call VR chat, it didn't exclude, non-VR people, and I think that was the biggest
Yeah.
draw for me. Because I know I'll someday get a VR headset and I can just, continue enjoying the intended
Mhm.
experience.
What general advice do you have for newer social VR world builders?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a tall responsibility, but I would say world building, just like any kind of other creative endeavors, require a lot of fundamental knowledge, and that is not it's not a requirement to get started. As you learn, as you do, just like everything else, it's always helpful to look at work building with the same respect and the same lens that you see like drawing or 3D modeling or anything else, because world creation is encompassing of all of that. So it's always helpful that you also learn how to do art, maybe 2D, maybe 3D, learn a little bit more 3D modeling, learn a bit more how lighting, environmental design, environmental layout, world, building and all of that. Like, if you learn all this skill, and that is something you can also always learn along when you make world building, of course. But if you want to get started on a strong footing, having a little bit of art background and having a little bit of artistic endeavors and dipping your toes into some creative process to get used to it. So by the time that you get to your the process of world building, you don't just only spending time figuring out all the
Mhm.
time, and you can actually spend time really do what you want to do and realizing your ideas the way that you want it to be. Just like everything else, learn the basics, learn the fundamental, so that you can start on with a strong footing.
Are there any software tools in particular that you like that made life easier for you in the process, in the creation process, that you'd like to share or recommend with the audience?
Of course. So tools are very subjective, right? Everyone have their own
Uh,
preference of tools. Um, I would say like some people will love, modeling in Maya, but other people who will love modeling in Blender. So it's not my
Uh-huh.
place to recommend this kind of tool. But one thing that I think can work universally for a lot of people, and for myself included, it was like a tool that I can't work without. I would say PureRef, Pure, Pure, and REF, Ref, PureRef.
Uh-huh.
One single word. It's a software where you can paste basically Control V, Control C, Control V, pasting any picture you see on the internet or anywhere. Basically, you can drag and drop it
Uh-huh.
into the like this reference board. It's basically a board of reference, and you can organize it and you can place as many pictures as you want to. You can have like
Wow.
thousands of pictures there, and you can have it stay on top of your Windows. Stay on top of the software that you're working on. You have a different monitor, which is what I do. I have um, a vertical monitor where I wouldn't have just this
Mhm.
bar of reference right to my right side. And as I'm working on with my front monitor, I wouldn't just glance over and look at the reference as I work, and it helps a lot. But having reference is fundamental,
Mhm.
is critical. Driving ideas and inspiration from other works and things you see. And that's just why a place like Pinterest is so popular for,
Mhm.
reference. Like Pinterest is like one of the most popular sites for reference. And I used to hate Pinterest with a passion. Like, why is every picture I
Yeah.
should add on Pinterest? But it's a great place to get reference, and you can save those references into PureRef and have it like compile like based on the project. Every project I do have a separate folder. Okay, this is project, Egypt, and in there there's a PureRef with all the Egypt reference, and they're gonna be in different section of like the pyramid, the interior, the river, the character. They all separate in their own little area, and they all just reference like collect on the internet. So I feel like it's something really useful for basically everybody. Honestly, I always recommend this to every single person. Not just for work creation. This is applied for everything. Drawing, 3D modeling, PureF is amazing for that.
Can you share advice on how newer creators and social VR users in general can take care of their mental health and their physical health as they spend time in social VR and in VR in general?
Um, yeah, it's a heavy one, but um,
Yeah.
for the longest time, yeah, I used to be slightly distrusting of people, I would say, and especially in the earlier day, I was a very introverted person, and I generally keep people with an arm length when it comes to friendship and
Mhm.
whatnot. Um, it's just a lot of stuff growing up and learning about more about the world and just trying to be slightly skeptical of like people's true intention and whatnot. But so more and more I spend time with VR and I learn the genuine sincerity that many people offers. And obviously, there's good and bad, right? There's gonna be bad actor. There's gonna be people with bad intention who want to take advantage of you and stuff. That's just exists everywhere in real life on the internet.
Mhm.
But when you know somebody long enough and you have this level of trust and bond that you have with somebody, it's kind of like almost like a family, even though you might never met them before. Um, yeah, it's just knowing the people that you connect with and spend enough time understanding them and seeing if they are the right person and the kind of friend and the kind of people you want to foster a relationship with.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're gonna hear a lot of story here and there about a horror story about people being taken advantage of or people being betrayed online and stuff. Like it happens. Obviously, it happens. Like there's no foolproof way to read people, and obviously, it's even much harder in VR where um, facial expression and body language are much more
Mhm.
hidden. In real life, how our brain as human being, we learn to read social facial structure and emotion and expression as like social cues, like, oh, this person's not happy with what I'm talking about, oh, this person
Mhm.
enjoying what I'm saying, like all that kind of stuff that you don't have that luxury here in VR chat, at least not
Yeah.
yet. Eventually, hopefully that technology will be accessible to everybody, but um, it's hidden, and there's only one way to really find out is, spend enough time, keep a respectable, respect for yourself, but also the people that you interact with. And, just be sincere, be honest, and hopefully that also reflect back on the other person to you. And you can foster a, hopefully helpful and mutual relationship. It's a two-way street. But that's kind of like went off topic a little bit from what you're asking. But it's the fun, the basis, because mental health, especially on VR chat, has a lot to do to tie in with, socially, relationship and whatnot. And for me, in my case, it was a relationship. It's slightly personal, but that's okay. I'm completely fine with this now. I'm fine with sharing it. I had a relationship for 5 years with somebody I met in VR chat. Really special. And I think I met her around the time when I started making my first world, the first Sharpen Cafe. So it's been a long time. We knew each other for a long time, and she was like my cheerleader, always cheering me on, encouraging me to continue creating and whatnot. And more the time goes, where I want to have a future with both of us. And that's why a part of me, I push so hard creating world and creating experience in VR chat is that I want to become something that she can proud of, and somebody become successful to provide for us to have a career, to live together, have our own place and whatnot. So what's like the biggest? So when I was hired when I was hired by VR chat, that was like the biggest moment in my life. Like telling her that I got the the offer letters, and we bust into tears of happiness and whatnot. It was a wonderful time. But as time goes, and that's the thing, right? One of the things that didn't work out for us was the physical distance, long, long distance relationship. And whereas skinship is what we call it. Skinship is like touch and hugs and all of that stuff, thing that usually you're expected with a relationship, with a bond with somebody. But we didn't have that for the longest time. And yeah, eventually it just didn't work out, I suppose, because we were missing the really essential part of a relationship. And I feel like that's just a good reminder about when it comes to mental health and stuff in social VR. Like having the social need that you need to be met is great. Talking with friends and people that you enjoy hanging out with is great, but it's also a reminder of like it's good to have a balance and seeing other people in real life and having a connection in real life, having a physical connection with somebody you have in real life was also really important. VR is such a great place, a great supplement to alleviating some of your pain, some of your stress, and it did for me. It really did. It was a place for me to escape to when I was at my lowest point in my life, and I didn't have anywhere else to go. So I escaped to VR chat and surrounded by people that really care for me, and I will never forget that. I can't imagine if I would have had to go through that alone. I don't know if I would have made it, to be honest with you here. But I was surrounded with people that really care for me sincerely, and that's the wonderful thing about VR, right? It can be a form of your anxiety and your stress, but it can be a form of escape, and it can be a form of healing. So it's all about the balance. It's all about knowing what is appropriate, what is moderation, what is appropriate for your situation. So don't always keep in mind that don't use it as the only form, the only place that you can run away to, but also use it as like a supplement to what you need to do in real life. Because for me, yeah, I ran away in real life, I escaped to VR, but also I was starting to try to take care of myself, wake up early, eat the healthy meal, start working out and stuff, and those were a critical part of healing. my mental health. I went to Venice, Italy, and obviously, no, not everyone going to be able to afford to go overseas or travel. Like, I'm not saying that like you have to do this to get better, obviously,
Yeah.
but like for me, it's just like exposing myself to different places and people and culture, and seeing what more life have to offer. In addition to the kind of the help that I'm getting in VR, is part of what got me to this point, to be able to move on and healing, instead of just maybe just cry all the time in VR in the bed and not getting out, not getting up, and not eating and taking care of myself. Like I wouldn't been in a worse place. So yeah, balance.
So, Leslie, do you have any new worlds that you're building right now that you're able to tell us about? And do you know if it's like a timeline on that? And how can we stay updated uh, on what you recommend for us to stay updated on what you're making?
Oh yeah, of course. Project Lost World. It's just the code name for it. It's probably not the actual world name, but the code name for it right now is Project Lost World. This is something I've been wanting to do for the longest time, especially probably one of the first projects I wanted to do when I joined VI Chat.
Ah,
But so if you probably know about the movie Avatar, right? Like the blues
mhm,
alien people from another
yeah.
planet, and we went there, we become the bad guys and whatnot.
Mhm,
I saw that
mhm,
in the 3D IMAX like years ago, a decade ago, and it was like,
yeah.
God, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. I
Mhm,
was so entranced by the beautiful forest, the bioluminescence, and all the animals and all the floating,
yeah.
cloud, floating island and all of that. I'm like, oh God, I want to be there. I want to be there. But obviously, it's a piece of fiction, and who knows when we're gonna ever try to like go to another planet. It's not gonna be probably not in my lifetime. But anyway, um, I want to make that a reality. Kind of come back to the whole, making your wish and your dream to be something that you can experience. And that's
Mhm,
something, yeah, I tried a few times. First time when I joined Chef, miserably failed because I have no idea what am I doing. I completely
yeah.
abandoned that. And then probably like 2.5 year into work creation, I tried it again and I did okay. I was okay with it. One of the process that came out of that was Pandora Night, when the public world, but it wasn't like the actual world. It was like a piece of it. And
Mhm,
at the time, I feel like I didn't have enough experience. Like, okay, I did okay, but like I
yeah.
couldn't learn more. So I kind of put it back in the back burner a little bit, and I
Mhm,
explore other interests. So that's how all this other work came about after Pandora Night. But now I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm truly
mhm,
ready. Obviously, not gonna be as ready as I am when be like 5 years down the line. Obviously, I'm gonna learn more, gonna be better at
yeah.
it. But I feel like if I'm gonna wait forever, then what's the point, right? Um,
Right.
so I want to make this reality. So hopefully this year is aimed for the Venice Film Festival. I am aimed to get this released and show the world at the Venice International Film Festival this year, which is I'm intend to come back. So hopefully I can deliver within probably September, August, late August. It's
Mhm,
like probably the hard deadline for me for it to get done. So I got like probably 6 7 months. Yeah, 6 month ish. So I gotta get going basically. But I'm excited. And
yeah.
obviously, if you want to keep in touch with that and where it's going, join my group. Fins Work Interactive, or follow me on Twitter. We are Fins.